This video from the No Punt Intended Fantasy Football League News Hub brought to you by Jinko, the brand that you wore in middle school to let people know you were a douche before Tap Out became popular. As the sun begins to peek its head over a new fantasy football horizon with bright new talent, let us take a moment to recognize the legends that made this league great. No Punt Intended Fantasy Football newcomers and rookies alike, it's time to meet your league veterans. All right, let's dive right into it, kicking things off with the Western Division veterans, led by the Bellingham Bimblases, the ATLians, and Wide as Y. Led by team owner Jason LaRoche, Wide as Y is a formidable fantasy footballer from the great state of Texas, who has a knack for scoping out his division rivals with deadly accuracy, as he was able to go a perfect 3-0 against the ATLians in the inaugural No Punt Intended fantasy football season, and had remained the league's number 3 ranked overall squad throughout the first half of the fantasy football season. With enough Dr. Pepper in his arsenal to give an entire country diabetes 3 times over, Wide as Y should be feeling pretty good about the upcoming season. Up next, we're pleased to introduce Adam Siflinger, team owner of the ATLians. In what is perhaps the league's oddest personality combination, the Sifmeister is a New York-born, Georgia-raised, Jewish Guido entering his sophomore fantasy football season, who has proven more than worthy of league glory, as he currently holds the league's highest single-game scoring record after scoring an unbelievable 205.4 points over the Bellingham Bimblases last season, and was actually just narrowly edged out from being the number 4 seed in the playoffs due to an untimely 3rd consecutive loss to division rivals Wide as Y, along with an unforeseen huge upset of the Bama Boat Snacks over the Flying Spaghetti Monsters in the final week of last year's regular season. We'll see if the ATLians can slick their hair back and keep their pockets full in order to Jew their way into a fantasy football league championship. And last but not least in our lineup of Western Division vets, we turn our attention to the classiest hose in all of fantasy football, Nick Blase and the Bellingham Bimblases. Team owner Nicholas Blase is a seasoned fantasy footballer dating all the way back to 2012 and current defender of the No Punt Intended Fantasy Football Western Division Championship. Now, what's unfortunate, he actually suffered a gruesome fantasy football season-ending injury back in 2016 in an alleged skateboarding accident trying to impersonate Tony Hawk. However, reports from the league's tabloid suspect that the Bimblases instead injured their wrists, hoeing themselves out in a night completely filled with shame. After 7 years of fantasy football experience without a single league championship to show for, one can say that Nick has the Redskins curse of fantasy football. We'll see if the Bimblases can get back on their knees and spread their legs wide open for their very first league championship victory. Up next, we turn our attention to the Eastern Division veterans, led by the Bama Boat Snacks, Sacks in the City, and the league's defending champion, the Beast of the East, the Flying Spaghetti Monsters. Now up first in the Eastern Division, we give the floor to John Hawkins, aka the Demon Barber of Fifth Fleet, team owner of the Bama Boat Snacks. The Bama Boat Snacks were set on a crash course for ultimate humiliation last year, starting out the season with 6 consecutive losses. But that did not stop them from rising to glory, as they fought tooth and nail to edge their way into the number 4 seed of the playoffs, earning them the honors as the league's comeback squad of the year. Now, despite their early fantasy football woes last season, John Hawkins carries a respectable fantasy football rapport. With about 8 years of fantasy football experience, he's led his squads to 1 league championship title and 2 division championships. We'll see if the Bama Boat Snacks can muster some of that old-fashioned country boy strength en route to a league championship title. Up next, we are honored to recognize Bethany Horn, team owner of Sacks in the City. Entering her third season as a fantasy footballer with 2 consecutive championship appearances, Mrs. Horn has proven to be a force to be reckoned with as she enters the league as the league's defending highest regular season scoring squad, scoring an unthinkable 1,953.2 points last year. After blowing a 20.7-point lead in the league championship to the Flying Spaghetti Monsters, we'll see if the queen of the scoreboard can get back to her winning ways in hopes for another shot at league championship glory. And with that, rookies and newcomers alike, we've saved the best for last as we introduce you to your defending Eastern Division and, no pun intended, fantasy football league champion, the terrifying beast of the East, Rick Horn, team owner of the Flying Spaghetti Monsters. Team owner Rick Horn is an absolute fantasy football stud. With 3 years of fantasy football experience, his noodliness glides into the season with 3 league championship titles, 4 division titles, and 2 regular season highest scoring records, and has never missed a single playoff appearance in any of his leagues, many of which had 12 or more teams, despite auto-drafting in at least 3 separate leagues. The defending champ went undefeated for the first 10 weeks of the inaugural no pun intended fantasy football season, proving that the FSM has graced him with his noodly appendage, thus making the Flying Spaghetti Monsters the holiest team in the league. He should have no problem licking his bowl clean of any new or familiar opposition en route to yet another, no pun intended, fantasy football league championship title. Good luck, Rooks. You've got some stiff competition out there. That's it for your no pun intended fantasy football league news hub update. Stay tuned for the upcoming draft Powerball lottery date, and we'll see you on the virtual gridiron.